Hey guys, I'm Brian Robert Oliver. This is the Alcoholic Personality, and I want to start this video by apologizing for not posting for a while. It's been a couple of months and I've been getting, I wouldn't say lackadaisical with this. My life is very busy right now, but at the same time, I do love posting these videos, mostly just because of the amazing feedback that I've gotten from so many of you. And I just want to thank you out there, all of you, for watching these videos and responding so kindly. Your words mean the world to me, so thank you for that. And my new goal is to try to post a couple of times a month, like maybe once, but 1.5 times. That's my goal. But I want to post more because I've been getting such great feedback, and I know that these videos can be helpful for some of you out there who are struggling with their sobriety, who are struggling with the addiction of alcohol, and how it can ruin people's lives, and how it's ruined so many people's lives that I've known, that I've been close to, family members and myself as well. And so just thank you for coming along on this journey with me, my journey of recovery. Today, I do want to talk about shame. And I want to talk about more specifically the shame of drinking and how drinking and shame are intimately linked. I believe that shame is at the root of all addiction. And I'm not simply just talking about the shame of things you've done or what has been done to you. I'm specifically talking about being ashamed of who you are, because there is a difference. And there is a cycle, right? Shame keeps you in a cycle of drinking. You drink to numb the pain of being ashamed of who you are, only to lose control and humiliate yourself in other ways, only adding more to the belief that you are worthless. So how do we, as addicts or alcoholics or whatever you want to call it, problem drinkers, doesn't really matter how you identify yourself, just if you're struggling with this, then how we are kind. How do we deal with this? How do we reconcile the shame? And I think the answer is this, is that you have to separate the shame of the things you've done or what has been done to you, and the shame of being who you are, just being ashamed of yourself. And to do this, you have to be able to see yourself clearly. And you can't see yourself clearly until you stop drinking. That is the major issue here, is that you have to stop drinking, because you will not be able to see yourself clearly until you do that. But before I move on into the meat and potatoes of this discussion, I do want to give credit where credit is due. There is a gentleman, a YouTube creator named Quasir Yohir. I've left a link down to his video on this particular topic. He talks about the shame of who you are and separating that with the shame of what you have done, and how important that is to move on in life. And he does touch on addiction issues in the video. That is not what the video is about, but it is a major resource that I've used to put this video together here. So again, credit where credit is due. Check him out, man. He's got such an amazing channel. I watch his videos all the time. I get a lot out of them, so maybe you can too. Okay, so it's in the description below. So what is shame? Shame is doing something or having something done to you that results in feelings of humiliation, embarrassment, regret, and guilt. And these feelings can lead to emotions such as depression, sadness, anxiety, anger. And of course, these emotions can lead to actions such as lashing out at people you love, lashing out at strangers. I've done that many times. It could lead to conflict of many ways, many kinds of conflicts, like physical conflict, arguments. It could lead to withdrawing from the people that you love, withdrawing from society in large. This is something that I relate heavily to. It is the belief that you are not worthy of love and respect, and the fear that other people can see this in you, that people can see this. And if you are struggling right now with alcohol, does that not sound familiar to you at all? And let me go ahead and use myself as an example for this. Okay, so I felt a deep shame before I even knew that it had a name. It starts from a very young age. I was raised by two people who just tried their best They really did. But they both come from homes of neglect, abuse, and addiction, mostly alcohol, but other forms of addiction as well. They tried their best, but it didn't stop them from passing on this feelings of shame to my sisters and myself. And a little bit about my childhood in a nutshell. I was bullied a lot by older kids when I was younger. I was in lots of fights. I was a bedwetter, which sucked, until I was in my adolescent years. I was molested at a very young age by a couple of older kids, and I was just a total daydreamer as a child, man. I was always stuck inside my head. I couldn't focus. For example, in school, I remember being in class and trying to focus on what the teacher was saying, but I just could not focus. I was always constantly caught in some kind of daydream. And then there would come that realization when the teacher would be wrapping up what she was saying and she was about to ask questions, and just that blanket of dread that would come over me, that fight, flight, or freeze response that would come over me on being called upon in class and not having the right answer, and then being exposed as a complete moron, as an idiot, because even at that age, I didn't feel that I had any worth. Until, of course, I found alcohol. And when I found alcohol, man, that was like the answer that I was looking for my entire life. It was this key that could unlock this person within me. Everything that I wanted to be. I could be funny, I could be popular. All I needed to do was drink. And it really helped me not give a shit about things, because when I was younger, throughout most of my life, I just cared about everything. Every little thing haunted me. I cared about what people thought about me. I cared about the things that I did. I cared about what people were saying about me. And this alcohol, stopped me from giving a shit about it. I stopped giving a shit. It was great. It was like this freedom. Because all I wanted in life up until that point, even though I didn't know it, was to feel like I had worth. And alcohol, it gave me that. It was this ultimate cheat code. And of course, when I found alcohol, that was the birth of my alcoholic personality, right? And so I have another video, and I'll put a link below. It's titled How to Stop Drinking Today. And I go into the concept of the alcoholic personality. So watch that if you're at all interested. But to kind of give you a summation of that, your alcoholic personality is a personality that formed when you were very young, or when you started drinking. When you started drinking to soothe pain, to solve all your problems. It's a personality that steps forward whenever you're feeling uncomfortable about anything you're trying to avoid. It steps forward and it just says, hey, let's drink about this. And it's like a program that you have written in your brain. And it's an actual physical program that you've written in your brain. And you can kind of think about it like this, that every person has an executive function in their brain, and every person has an avoidant state. So your executive function, it makes important decisions, like, for example, what you want to do in life, but it makes every single decision, small decisions, like what you're going to wear today, what you want to eat for breakfast, right? So that's your executive function. However, if you have emotional issues that you are not taking care of, if you have things in your past that you are not focusing on, then your executive function wants to avoid that situation. So it refers to the avoidance state. And the avoidance state takes over, and the avoidance state does what it does best, which is just avoid the situation. That could look like a lot of things, but in this example, it's to drink about it. And what better way to avoid any kind of uncomfortable feelings than drinking, right? It clears it from your mind and it clears it from your body. So for me, once I found this alcoholic personality and it started stepping forward, it took charge for the rest of my life up until recently, up until a year and a half ago. And I relied on this personality. And I thought, when I was younger that, if I practiced enough, lowering my inhibitions, if I practiced enough being this funny person that alcohol unlocked for me, that eventually I just learned how to do it and I wouldn't need alcohol anymore to be this greater version of myself, right? To unlock myself, my true potential. Of course, that didn't happen. So, a normal night of drinking, especially in my young adulthood, would look kind of something like this. I would go to a bar, or I'd go to a party or whatever, anywhere where I like to drink. I didn't really go to clubs, but I go to a bar and I'd have to have a couple of drinks just to feel comfortable, just being myself, being there. Comfortable simply by being a spectator. It's like a filter, right? I needed to remove these filters. This filter of, again, feeling comfortable about myself being there, and then to remove another filter, which was, of course, being no longer a spectator, but being an active participant in the good times there at the bar or at the party. And it would take a few drinks for each one. But eventually, of course, in a perfect world, only those filters would be removed. But there are other filters that are removed as well. Another couple of drinks, and then I would lose the ability to read social cues, right? I wouldn't be able to tell if I was making a person feel uncomfortable by telling a certain joke, an inappropriate joke. Maybe I was acting inappropriately. I just couldn't read that. I couldn't read that well anymore. I couldn't read people in that way. And then, of course, another few drinks after that, and then I would just lose the filter of common decency. I stopped giving a shit about what I said to people. I stopped caring if I offended people. I didn't care about what I did or said, anything at all. And then, of course, comes the next day where I would wake up and that just wave of humiliation would just wash upon me. And those are just the things that I could remember. I mean, that's not to say anything of the dread of not remembering certain things and knowing that with all those filters removed, what other filter was removed now that I can't remember, that I stopped that function in my brain that could retain memory? What did I do? And I did this for years until, of course, the end, when I stopped even going out. I just drank alone because I couldn't trust myself anymore. I couldn't trust myself to go out and not humiliate myself in that way. And so while I was busy not dealing with the shame of my youth, I was building this entirely new catalog of humiliations. And I built that shame up so high that eventually it just came down crashing over me until I wore it like a mask, like a superhero of humiliation. And I wore this basically to hide myself from others, because again, I believed that when they looked at me, they saw a piece of shit, or unless I lied about it, unless I wore this mask acting like I wasn't a piece of shit. But when you wear this too long, like I did, it really hid me from myself too as well. I couldn't see myself clearly anymore. And I was constantly angry. I was constantly depressed. I was constantly anxious, constantly self-conscious. It was literally like living a prison within myself, and I just couldn't see out anymore. I couldn't see myself. I couldn't see life clearly. And it was ultimately just the shame of being myself, the shame of being me. I was ashamed of who I was. And so with that, I want you to look at something here, actually. I'm going to pull something up. It's called the Map of Consciousness, and it was created by a very famous psychiatrist named David R. Hawkins. And this map of consciousness, it took him 20 years to create. It's a map or a list of possible levels of consciousness someone can experience in a lifetime, right? Some of this map will talk about things such as spirituality. Really, the word consciousness is about from what level of awareness you are seeing the world from, meaning from what mental state you are experiencing life from. And as you can see here on this map, at the very bottom is shame, right? Shame is the absolute lowest level of consciousness that you can experience life from. Living life in a constant state of humiliation. But you're also going to notice, right, above shame and within shame is the survival paradigm, right? That's shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, and pride, right? These are the levels of consciousness outside the realm of reason and integrity. But you're also going to notice, right, above shame and within shame is the survival paradigm, right? That's shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, and pride, right? These are the levels of consciousness outside the realm of reason and integrity. And can you not admit that all these years, or just abusing drugs, that you are not caught within this survival paradigm that is keeping you stuck in a cycle of shame, grief, humiliation, and anger, this is how drinking and using will stop you from growing, right? Always fearful of moving forward because you can't trust yourself, because you think you are so worthless that you will screw everything up. Another way to put this is that if you truly believe that you are a piece of shit, then the world becomes full of people that look at you and see a piece of shit, right? And that's something that I was caught in. That's something that I truly believed, and that's really what I saw. That's why I withdrew mostly from society, is because every time I walked outside, it was just full of people that just hated me, like they could see through me. That, it was like constant validation that this is what I am. I'm not worth anything at all. And it wasn't always just purely, from shame. Maybe I would be somewhere else in the survival paradigm, right? Maybe I'd be angry a lot. I'd be apathetic, right? I'd feel good enough to be apathetic. But if you look again at the survival paradigm, grief, fear, anger, all of that stuff, right? It's all about me. It's literally all about the self. Like you're caught in this prison of the self because you are ashamed of who you are. That's why this is important for you to look at, because it doesn't matter what good you've done in life. It doesn't matter who you've helped. None of it matters, because when at the center of you, if you believe you are worthless, you're a piece of crap, then that's what you're going to see. That's what you're going to experience life from. But of course, it's a lie, right? It's a lie that you're telling yourself. But the thing is that until you can see yourself clearly, it's not going to matter. The suffering will not end. And you can't see yourself clearly, and I'll restate this, until you stop drinking. Now, really quick here, I do want to do a plug. If you are caught in this cycle of shame, of regret, guilt, all of these terrible emotions, if you're caught in this cycle because of your drinking, then I do have something I call the alcoholic personality method. I'm going to leave a link in the description below. And if you want to stop the cravings for alcohol, if that's something that's keeping you from being sober, then I believe I can help you. What the alcoholic personality method is, it combines two things: cognitive behavioral techniques and hypnosis. Okay? And the reason why this has been proven to be so effective is that hypnosis will help rewire your brain to stop drinking, because you've wired it from years of drinking, or just even drinking for the past few months. You've wired it to drink. Hypnosis will help you rewire it. And cognitive behavioral techniques, like the ones that I could teach you, which is also in the video that I've linked below called How to Stop Drinking Today, that's one of the techniques that you could use. And that's going to help you restructure your brain as well. And it's going to help you solidify the new structures within your brain for long-term sobriety, if that's something that you're looking for. So again, it works. It really does. So if you are interested in that, I'm going to leave a link below and you can read about it. And if you want, it's $100, man. It's super cheap. I made it this affordable for a reason, because I don't want to have a program that is only attainable for people who make hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars a year. I want to help as many people as I can. So please check that out. Because again, you have to stop drinking now to see yourself clearly. You have to stop adding to your catalog of humiliation and shame. Stop now so you can look back and take account of the things that you've done or what was done to you. Stop now so you'll be able to look at yourself clearly. Stop so you can look back and take account of the things that have been done to you or what you have done. Yes, you may have done shameful things. Shameful things might have happened to you. But I can tell you right now, your shame is not you. You are not your shame. You have to understand this, and you have to believe this. That has been the greatest lesson so far in my recovery. Do I still have the capacity to feel shame? Absolutely, 100%. I still make mistakes all the time. But I can remind myself that I'm a human and that mistakes are going to happen. I can remind myself of how far that I've come. And I could look at myself in the mirror now and not see a person who's a piece of shit, which means I can go outside now and not see that from other people, not look into somebody else's eye and think that they see through me, that what they see in front of me is a person who has no worth at all. it's been a gift. And you could do this too, right? This could happen for you. Look, if I didn't feel the shame for the things that I've done or what was done to me, then I wouldn't have the structure from which I'm standing upon now. I'm going to repeat that. If I didn't feel the shame for the things that I've done and for the things that had been done to me, I wouldn't have the structure that I'm standing upon now, right? And I'm going to explain this in a little bit. I'm going to wrap this around, okay? But before I do, I want to talk about a quote from Steve Jobs in 2005 at the Stanford graduation ceremony in 2005. And I'm going to paraphrase it a bit, just because I can't say it perfectly. That's why it's not right in front of me. But it goes something along the lines of this, is that life is about connecting the dots. But you cannot connect the dots facing forward. You can only connect the dots facing backwards. And what that means to me is that you cannot move forward in life until you look at the path that got you to this point now. I agree with this, right? Because everybody has it in them to be able to walk forward in life with integrity. And though you don't know what's going to happen in the future, you could still walk forward in life trusting that you are going to do the right thing. Because when you are ashamed of yourself, you don't trust yourself anymore. You don't trust that you're going to do the right thing. You don't even know which voice in your mind is the one to listen to. And that's what sobriety is going to do. Recovery can do for you, is bring clarity of mind. Look, for me, like, again, I make mistakes all the time. But at the same time, I've taken account of all my shame. I've taken account of the things I'm ashamed of. And I've tried to make an amends. I'm trying to still make an amends. I'm trying to clean up the destruction of my path in my past. And though it's going to take some time, right? It's going to take time for everybody to a certain degree. For me, it's going to take a while because, as you've heard, I got a lot of stuff that I need to work through, that I have gotten to work through. But like I said, I can walk outside now. I can not be consumed with what other people think about me. Because what other people say and do and think doesn't really matter to me anymore. Not like it used to. I don't brew on it anymore. It doesn't bring me down anymore. I could walk outside and I could start being myself again. If I've ever done that. But it's a freedom. And you could do that too. Again, this is not a path of perfection. This is a path of acceptance. And you can't accept yourself until you see yourself clearly. And you can't do this. You can't separate the shame of the things you've done with the shame of self until you quit drinking. You have to quit. I mean, you know this already, but this is what you can have. You can do this. I'll repeat what I said earlier. If I didn't have shame for the things I had done or the things that were done to me, I wouldn't have the structure that I'm standing upon now. What I mean by that is that I've always known right from wrong. And all the harm that I had done in my past and the feelings of guilt over it is proof that somewhere in me has always been the real me. The person that wants to live a full life. The person that wants to live with honesty and integrity. Because look, a truly awful person, a truly bad person, they wouldn't feel ashamed of any of these things. All that guilt that you feel right now, all that shame that you feel, that anger, resentment. Well, maybe not the anger or resentment, but if you were truly an awful person, you wouldn't care. You wouldn't have any shame about that stuff. But you do, because you know right from wrong. Give yourself the chance to see yourself clearly. Give yourself the chance to separate the shame of self with the shame of the things that you've done or what was done to you. You're worth that. You can stop adding to the catalog of shame. You could stop that today. Stop drinking. Do this for you. Okay? You can take an account. You can make an amends. You can clean this up. And I'm telling you again, you are so much more closer than you realize. You're so much closer. It's right there for the taking. All you have to do is stop drinking and take your sobriety seriously. Okay? So I want to tell you right now, if you go to my site, I'm going to leave another link. I do have a free hypnosis for shame. It's a generalized hypnosis. It's not personalized, but it's been found to be pretty effective. It's free, so you can go right now. I'm going to leave a link to it. And while you're on my site, if you want, you can go ahead and sign up for my newsletter. Right? You can click on subscribe. It's going to send you a confirmation email. Sometimes it goes to people's junk or spam folder. Just go ahead and get it from there and confirm. Because I keep a pretty regular blog. It's not as regular as I'd like. Again, that's another thing that I really need to keep up on. It's been keeping a sobriety journal like that, a recovery journal, has been just massive for my recovery. And so if you want to read more about that, go ahead and check it out. Also, subscribe to this channel, to my channel right here on YouTube. I'm going to try my best. I know I could do it. I'm going to try my best to post more videos. And so subscribe here. Also, you can follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, all that good stuff. And if you've sat here this whole time listening to me babble on about my recovery, then thank you so much. And again, thank you to all of you who have just said the most kindest, wonderful things to me. I truly thank you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that it's been of some help to you. And thank you. Until next time.